Here he comes, here he comes, here he comes. Good job. Hey you guys, Jet Samuel is finally here, and it has been so long since I gave you guys any sort of update or anything like that. I think I was 36 weeks pregnant, if I remember correctly, when I did my last video. Clearly I've been busy, but yes, I wanted to get on here and do a labor and delivery story along with a 2-week postpartum update on myself and of Jet. I'm gonna try to jump right in because my kiddos are running around and it's getting late and they are grumpy. So I will go ahead and jump right into the labor and delivery story. So towards the end, I was absolutely miserable, which is why I also didn't do any more updates. I just didn't have the energy to. But yes, anyone who knows me personally knows that I was just not having fun anymore. I was over it. What was it? I think I was 38 weeks. I'm not sure. I had went to my midwife appointment, and there's 5 midwives at my clinic, and I seen the same one almost the entire time minus like 1 appointment. So I seen a different midwife that day, and she was very nice. She was the sweetest girl, but she kind of got my hopes up, and I think that's what made it so much worse. But at my 38-week appointment, she was like, you're 3 centimeters dilated. This was the day before the 4th of July. She was like, you might have a 4th of July baby, all kinds of stuff. It's just like, I'm on call tonight. I might see you. So my hopes went through the roof. I was so excited. I was like, this baby is coming out. She said it. And he clearly did not. He came the week later. But yeah, my hips, my back, my pelvis area, everything was in so much pain the last, half of my pregnancy, I'd say. I kept saying the whole time, he feels heavy, he is pushing on things that he shouldn't be pushing on down there. Like, everything just hurts. I'm not used to this. And I think it was my 39-week appointment, so the week later, I had told my midwife that I seen all the time. She's the best. I told her, I was just straight up with her. I was just like, listen, I hate complaining, but I'm in a lot of pain and I feel like I can't keep going. And I cried. I felt like an idiot in her office because I was just bawling. But the pain got that bad. I just could not deal anymore with my pain. It was just my bones. Everything was fine. I had a really healthy pregnancy, which I'm super thankful for. But my bones were getting crushed this pregnancy. And bless her heart, she offered to sweep my membranes. And when she did it, she had told me, she's like, well, you're still a 3, but she's like, let's go ahead and make an appointment for Wednesday morning to sweep them again. And I was just like, well, if I'm getting my membrane swept, like, shouldn't I be going into labor and not having to set up another appointment? But she had told me, she's like, well, your cervix is pretty thick still, which is frustrating because like the lady I had seen that was not her had told me that it was thin. So I think that's just what was so frustrating, is I was getting 2 different answers. But she was like, it's still pretty thick. She's like, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna see you Wednesday. She's like, but we'll do another membrane sweep, so we'll try to get this baby out. So I did that, the membrane sweep, and then I don't do anything crazy. I don't do castor oil or trying to do anything dangerous. No shame to anyone or judgment to anyone who does that kind of stuff. But as for me, I can't. I have too much anxiety and too much fear. But I did try everything that I could naturally to get him out. I went and walked the mall. I walked blocks around my neighborhood. My sister came and did oil massages and was trying to do pressure points. She had me dancing. We were trying everything. And I kind of just lost hope. I got put into false labor so many times the last couple weeks that it was just miserable. I would feel like I was going into labor every night, and I would have contractions for hours on end. 1 second. I love you too, sweetheart. What's wrong? Oh, it's okay. Mommy will wash it, okay? Sorry, my girlies came in. I had to cut the video for a second. But anyways, I will get back to where I was. I believe I was talking about false labor. I was going into false labor constantly. I would have contractions for hours on end. They would start being steady and they would just fade. But Monday night after my membrane sweep, I started feeling like I was going to go into labor. I was like, oh my goodness, this is it. And I think my contractions were like 7 to 8 minutes apart for hours. And they were getting strong to where I was like, wow, this is it. And I went and jumped in the shower to just get ready to go to the hospital. Like, that's how for sure I was. I was like, I'm gonna go get ready. And I got in the shower, and once I was in the shower, I slowly started to feel them go away. And in my head, I just wanted to cry. And they'd actually tell you all the time, if you feel like you're going into labor, get in the shower. If they stop, they just stop. This is false labor. And if it will either stop or they will get stronger, is what they say. And now I know that's true. With Riley, I remember I got in the shower and that my contractions got intense and went to 2 minutes apart, and then we had to throw myself in the car. But this time they stopped. So I was like, no, it was false labor. Like, oh my goodness. So I was just miserable. It's like the most miserable thing, feeling like you're going into labor. You're already miserable as it is, and you get your hopes up, and then it just goes away. It's horrible. But the next day, I think I called my sister just crying. I was like, this freaking sucks. Like, I thought I was in labor last night and I wasn't. And so she packed up her little oil bag because she's just that kind of person. She packed up a bag of oils and she's like, I'm coming to your house. We're going to get this baby out. And she came over, she pressure points, and she did massages. She's like, let me rub your legs. She was doing everything, and she made me dance. She had me going, and nothing. But later that night, we were all eating dinner, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, I'm having contractions. And by that point, everyone's like, shut up, Candace, like, you don't ever go into labor. Just, you're not going into labor tonight. So I just sat there and I had contractions, and once again I was like, it's for sure. Oh my goodness, it's happening. And it didn't. And I woke up around 2 a.m. So Wednesday at 2 a.m., which, by the way, again, I was supposed to go in for my membrane sweep at 8:30. So at 2 a.m. I woke up and I started texting my mom because I'm like, I think I'm having contractions, but I'm always in false labor. So nobody get excited. But they were timeable. So I'm just gonna lay here and start timing. And sure enough, they were like every 20 minutes, which sounds ridiculous that I was timing those, but I was to that point of my pregnancy that I was just like, I'm timing everything. 20 minutes apart, and I'm telling my mom, hey, like, yeah, I think I'm having contractions, and they're consistent, but they're real far apart. And by 3, I was like, okay, they're about 10 minutes apart now, so they're sticking around. I was so scared to go to sleep because I knew if I went to sleep, it would probably go away. So I was just waiting. And by like 4 o'clock, I'd say, I was just like, man, like, these are really starting to hurt. So I was just like, it's already to the point of the day in the morning that I'm just not going to go to bed. So I get up and I go downstairs. I just lay down, start watching TV by myself, and by 5 o'clock, I was in pain. I was already doubling over, and it was back labor. And that's kind of, I should have been just looking for back labor, because every time I go into labor, actual labor, it's back labor. And so I'm like, man, this is bad. So I, like, by 5 a.m. is when I knew for sure it was labor. And 6 o'clock rolls around, and I'm like, going nuts. I was already, I think at that point it was like 4 minutes apart. So I wake up my husband and I'm like, hey, listen, like, I really think this time it's real. It's back contractions. That's how it always is when I go into labor. Like, I think you need to get up. So he gets up, and by the time he gets his clothes on, I'm 3 minutes apart. So he's panicking that we're not going to get to the hospital on time because I was already 3 centimeters dilated. So he's just like, get in the car, we're going. And I'm like, wait, I need to call my midwife and I need to do this. He's like, get in the car, we're not chancing it, let's go. So we're going, and he called the office because you're supposed to call ahead of time or whatever. So he's calling, he's like, I'm bringing my wife in. And bless his heart, he was like, so I don't know if he was just nervous again. I don't know what it is, but he gets so worked up whenever I go into labor, and he's just like, my wife's been 3 minutes apart since 2. So I'm just like in a contraction, can't say no, I've been 3 minutes apart since whenever, but I've been having contractions since 2. So we pull up to the emergency entrance because that's where we had to go because of what time in the morning it was. But in there we get there, and he pulls up to the front. He's like, well, I'm just gonna let you out here. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna, like, don't let me out by myself. Like, how awkward, because there's like a whole entire team of people. Like, I was like, is that normal? Like, why is there so many people out here? And so he stops in the front, and then I'm like, why are we parking up here? Like, I'm not having him, he's not coming out. Like, let's just not separate, let's whatever. So he goes and he parks, and then he gets out of the car to start getting everything, and the whole team of people were like, no, bring her to the front. So we get in the car, we come to the front again, and the whole team of people were there for me. Apparently they thought, because he had said I was having contractions for whatever, like in his panicky voice, they thought I was like in like delivering. So they were like, we were ready to deliver a baby in your car. And they were just laughing. But I got up there, and I spoke to Erin. Erin was there, thank goodness, because my midwife that I had seen the whole time. I was so nervous to get somebody else, but she was there, and she checked me, and she was like, well, you're still out of 3. And I was like, oh my gosh, just send me home now. Like, I will just, obviously this baby's never coming out. I'm always going to be out of 3 centimeter. Like, I was over it. I just cried. I was just like, this sucks. Like, how am I out of 3? And she was awesome. She got me settled. She was just like, okay, you're out of 3. We're gonna go ahead and try to move the baby though, because that you're having back labor again, and your bones are obviously not handling it. She's like, so we're gonna try to flip him. So the reason you have back labor is because the baby comes up sunny side up, so eyes up, and their spines rub against your spine. So apparently that's just how I have my kids. They tried everything. They had me in every position possible. They had me doubled over the bed. They had me with the peanut ball. And I know some of your mamas probably know what the peanut ball is. Nothing worked. It was just making it worse. The peanut ball is like an exercise ball, but it's shaped like a peanut. It's literally shaped like a peanut. And they had me on my side with my one leg over. So, and every time I had a contraction, I felt my hips just like pushing into each other, and it was so bad. And so we tried that. We tried everything, and it just wasn't working. With my 2 other births, I was able to get in the bathtub, and it took 90% of my pain away. I swear by water when you're in labor. But this time it was so different. I was just like, man, like, I cannot handle this. I cannot handle this. And I went in the tub, and I couldn't get comfortable in the tub. They had a TENS unit on me, which is, it shocks you. They were literally shocking me. They put the stickers all over my back, and every time I had a contraction, I had either my sister or her husband turning it on and shocking me to try to just make the contraction pain go away. And that actually worked wonderful for a while. And they came in and checked me again, still out of 3. And Erin, my midwife, was like, well, I'm going to go ahead and pop your water. So she popped the water, and contractions obviously got 10 times worse, but it just, I can't even explain the pain that I know natural birth. I've had 2 natural births, and I swore, I'm like, I don't ever need an epidural. I don't, like, it sucks. My thing with labor is it's a temporary pain, and you can get through it no matter what. And I've always told myself that. I told myself that with my girls, and I was able to have 2 successful unmedicated births. And this time, I kind of knew in my head. I was just like, this is not the same. I can't handle this pain. My bones are shattering. That's what it feels like to me, is my bones shatter. And once I got in the tub and it didn't work, and after the shocking stopped working, I'm like, I can't do this. And we tried everything again. They gave me the laughing gas, and that did not work at all. Like, I feel like that was the biggest scam. Like, I feel like that's just, like, I don't know, it didn't do anything for me. But they had me using the mask, and I kept using it. I knew it wasn't doing anything for me, but I was just like, it was in my head, like, if I keep using it, it's gonna work, and nothing. So I got back in the tub again, and when I got in the tub again for the last time, and nothing was changed, it was just getting worse and worse. And knowing that it was just like turning into a constant contraction, and knowing that nothing was working for me, the water wasn't working, anything. My midwife came in, and I remember looking at her, and I was like, I can't do it, and just start crying. I still get emotional. I still have horrible hormones, but I was like, I can't do this. I can't do it. Like, this time I can't. I'm sorry. And I kept saying sorry. I don't know why I get so emotional, but it's like, it kind of makes you feel like your body failed you. 1 second, baby. But you feel like a failure. And knowing that I had 2 natural births beforehand, I was so disappointed. I felt so disappointed. But I knew in my head, I was like, I cannot do this. So she knew exactly what I meant. Sorry, I had to cut again, but it's probably a good thing because I started crying. But yeah, I looked at my midwife, Erin, and I just said, I can't. And she knew. She didn't have to ask me. She didn't have to be like, are you talking about medication? Like, she just knew. She's like, let's get out of the tub. Let's do it. And hold on, baby. I got out of the tub, and I got on the bed, and I'm just bawling. I was just bawling. It's just, like, not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling after laboring for hours and hours and hours. It had been, I think it was like around 1 o'clock when I finally was like, nope. So from 2 a.m. to 1. I with Cecilia, my oldest, I had a 27-hour labor, natural, and I was fine. So that tells you, Ceci and Riley. No. Sorry. But yeah, that, like, it should tell you right there how bad it was for me. But I started getting nervous. I don't like needles. I panicked. Everything. And she was like, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. And they came in, and they did it. Obviously, they gave me an epidural. And I was just like, I can't stress how much I was crying. Like, I was so sad. I felt like such a failure. And the one thing that made it better, and I'm gonna cry, is feeling that way. And I was just like, I started going numb, obviously, from the epidural. So it was working, and I felt amazing. But I look over, and my husband knew that I was so upset with myself. And he looked at me, and all he said was, I'm proud of you. And I just started bawling, and I'm just like, that's all I needed to hear because I feel like a loser right now. But after, I think 15 minutes, my midwife, or no, it had to have been like 15, 20 minutes, my midwife came back in, and she was like, well, I'm gonna go ahead and check you really quick. And I'm like, well, I've only been here for 20 minutes, like nothing, I'm probably still a 3. And she was like, okay, you're ready to push. And I was like, well, holy cow, how did that happen? I should have just kept going. And she had told me after I had the baby, which I don't know if she told me just because, but she told me after I had the baby that had I not gotten the epidural, that I would have labored for hours. She's like, you could have been in here for days. She's like, your body was so tensed up that, she's like, that's why you weren't progressing, is because your body, every time you had a contraction, because of your bones, your body would tense up. And she's like, and it wasn't allowing the baby to do what it needed to do. She's like, so the epidural was the best thing for you. She's like, you would have never been able to hold on for that long. She's like, it would have been such a long process. And so back to once she told me that it was time to push, I immediately started crying and getting nervous. I was so confused on how to give birth without feeling. It's all I know is the ring of fire. And you people who have had babies know what the ring of fire is. Like, it is a ring of fire. And I am so used to pushing through that pain and like knowing when to push and knowing all that. And it was such a bizarre feeling not knowing when I was having a contraction to push and not having that pain to push into or anything. She's like, just push. And I'm like, well, how? Like, how do I push? I don't know how to push. Like, I just went blank. And I pushed 3 times, or through 3 contractions. So I was maybe there for 10 minutes, and he came out, and he's the most beautiful boy. But it makes so much sense now why I was in so much pain and why everything down there was getting crushed. He came out, and he was 9 pounds 6 ounces, so he was almost a 10-pound baby. And I just cried. He was so perfect to me. And after I got the epidural and had him, after even being so angry at myself, I was so happy that I got it, because I was able to enjoy that moment of just looking at him and not being in pain, not worrying about anything that was going on down there, them still checking me and like everything like that. I just, like, I couldn't feel anything still. So I was able to just look at him and fall in love over and over and over again. Sorry, again, still emotional, but he's beautiful, and I just got to soak it in. And I remember once his head came out, and it was just his head, all I could hear is all the nurses and my sister and my husband go, oh, his cheeks. And I'm like, what are you guys talking about? And he came out, and I seen him, his cheeks were huge. He is a big baby. But yes, my midwife was awesome. She told me again how it would have been such a longer process, and I was able to just have him and nothing go wrong, and I didn't tear or I didn't anything with him being 10 pounds. She also said with the epidural she was able to relax me and turn him the way he needed to be turned. And so I didn't tear because of that. And she was like, oh my gosh, if that boy would have came out of you without an epidural, she's like, you would have tore every direction. So yeah, that makes me happy too. So there, after I had the epidural, there were so many things that I thought about. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I am so thankful that I didn't just let my pride get to me, that I just got it. I just did what I needed to do, and everything was better because of it. And now that I've had the taste of the epidural, I'm like, gosh, if I ever have kids again, I'm not even gonna try to do natural. But honestly, I might not though. I think he's my last one, but if I did ever have kids, I don't know with my back labor if I would ever try to go natural again. which my midwife also did say after they tried turning him for so long, and after having 3 deliveries sunny side up like that, she said that my body is just made that way for my kids to come out like that. And she assured me, she's like, you'll never have normal labor. You're always going to have back labor. That's just the way your body is. She's like, we tried so hard to turn him, and something in your body just has your babies upside down. So I'm really thankful that I got it, and it was so nice to just sit there and relax and not have to have contractions that last 20 minutes. It was amazing. But there's the delivery story. Again, he was 9 pounds 6 ounces, and he was 21 and a quarter long, and he is perfect. And as far as me, I'll go ahead and put him down so I can show you my body now, which is a whole nother thing. This video is gonna be so long, I'm so sorry. But as far as the postpartum, I'm 2 weeks postpartum. I'm gonna hate saying this out loud. I hate saying this out loud, but I got up to, I believe it was 185 was my delivery weight, which is heavy for me. My normal natural weight is usually around 130 to 135, but I never lost the weight after Riley, so I went into this pregnancy in general at 152. I believe I was 152, and I got up to 185, and I am now down to 160 even. Again, I hate saying this out loud, but for some reason with my girls, I looked like my pre-pregnant body immediately, and this time I don't. And for some reason this time I am so okay with my body. With the girls, I was so panicky. I was like, I hated looking in the mirror, and this time I don't know what it is, I love my body. I just feel like, I'm like, man, I feel so good about myself, and I have a tummy still. I got stretch marks. The last couple of weeks of pregnancy, I got stretch marks. He's a 10-pound baby, and he was pushing down on my stomach. So I finally got stretch marks. My 2 girls, I had none. But I don't know if it's because he was so big and I did struggle so bad this pregnancy that I am proud of my body, knowing that I was in so much pain and I got through it, and seeing them, my stretch marks now, they're not horrible, but I always used to be like, who says that? Like, I always used to hear women be like, I'm proud of my stretch marks. I'm like, no, like, come on, like, no one wants stretch marks, and of course I don't want them, but now I totally get it. I'm just like, I'm proud of them. I had a 10-pound baby almost, like, he was huge, and it was hurt, and it was painful, it was stressful, and I gave birth to the most beautiful little baby. So I did get stretch marks, and I still have a tummy, and I feel great. I don't want to go dieting. I don't want to, obviously I'm going to hit the gym here in probably a month or 2, but I'm not in a rush to do it this time, which is so not like me. But yeah, I'm 160, so I am about, 8 pounds away from my pre-pregnancy weight, but I'm about 20-30 pounds away from my normal weight. So we'll see how that goes. I clearly obviously want to be my best weight eventually, but again, yeah, I'm just not in a rush to do anything this time. I am happy with my body currently, but as far as him, he is doing great also. He is now 9 pounds 11 ounces. His umbilical cord finally cleaned out. His everything, he's perfect. He's great, he's doing good, and he sleeps mostly through the night. I would say we go to bed pretty late though lately. He usually falls asleep for the night around 11ish, 10, and he wakes up at 5 a.m. and he'll wake up to eat, and then we are just up for the day. So he sleeps great. And during the day, he's starting to wake up a little bit more. He went through the whole sleepy newborn stage, and he's still obviously going through that stage, but he's starting to wake up a lot more and look at you and kind of listen to you. And he'll just stare and kind of try to figure things out. So it's been awesome. But that is, I know, a very long update. I should have done this a long time ago, but I will go ahead and put him down and I will show you my stomach so you guys know what 2 weeks postpartum looks like for me. And let me try to show you his little face. I don't know if I can get down that low. But he's still sleepy, so I'm going to try to leave him sleeping. He's probably going to wake up now. Okay. So here is clearly with my shirt down to see the whole side, front, everything. As you can see, I still have a tummy. It probably looks 5 months pregnant. But I have my high-waisted heels on. But here's my stomach now, and if you can see, the stretch marks are right up front. Like I said, they're not horrible stretch marks, but they're definitely there. But here it is. Here's the belly. Like I said, I'm just not in a rush this time to diet and work out or anything like that. I'm just enjoying what my body's been through and appreciating what my body has been through, and I will get to working out when my body can, but no rush. But there it is. Thank you guys for watching the whole thing. I know this video is super long, and if you guys like these kind of videos or updates or want to see any updates on Jet later on, subscribe to my channel. And I put out videos very irregularly and super late all the time. So thank you guys for watching. Bye.